Bindu Chaudhary is with you in your social science class, and today we are covering our last chapter of history, India after independence, and today we are covering its part second. But before covering what happened in our previous part, students? Yes, in the previous part we had studied about the conditions after free independence India got, about the conditions of unity, about the condition of diversity, about the condition of the economic development, maybe of any states, because princely states, near about 500 states were there on that time, and the unity also needed, because on that time diversity was also there. At present also we have diversity, students. In different states we have their own languages, their own culture and traditions, their own way of clothing, their own fooding system. So on that time also it was the main issue, how all became united in one state, or we will call that one India. We already studied in that one that on 26th January 1950 new constitution regularized, and in that constitution what happened, near about 300 people had many meetings, and the result of that meetings came into effect from 26 January 1950. We had first power of voting at the age of 21 in that time. But what happened at present, अभी आपकी एज क्या है और आपको वोटिंग का अधिकार है या नहीं है? कितने साल के आप हो जाएंगे बच्चों जब आपको वोटिंग का अधिकार होगा? अभी एट प्रेजेंट द सिचुएशन इज एट द एज ऑफ 18 यू हैव पावर ऑफ वोटिंग, बट ऑन दैट टाइम विद द न्यू कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन 21 was the age limit for voting, but the main condition is maybe of any gender, maybe of any caste, maybe of any religion. So this concept only happened in our India, because in America or in British only in the starting time what happened, only the men who had property, they had power of voting. After that educated persons allowed to be voting, and on the third stage only and only working class people with the struggle of the power of voting, they allowed for the voting rights. And in the last, with lot of struggles in America as well as in British, what happened, women also allowed for voting, but in India only and only in the starting point, all genders, all classes, all religious people allowed for voting at the age of 21. Second main issue is the equality on law. अगर आप लॉ के हिसाब से, कानून के हिसाब से बात करते हैं, वेदर ऑफ अपर क्लास, वेदर ऑफ लोअर क्लास, वेदर ऑफ एनी कास्ट, वेदर ऑफ एनी रिलीजन, all had a power of equality in front of law. So this one is the main features of our constitution, which we had already discussed in our previous part. We are continuing here. There were some Indians who wished that the political system of the new nation be based on Hindu ideals, and that India itself be run as a Hindu state, because this concept was taken only with the few peoples, and they thought that we Indians also run with Hindu idols and with the Hindu states. Because in Pakistan, what happened there, students? See, they pointed the example of Pakistan. These Hindus who really wants a Hindu state for themselves, they took the example of Pakistan, a country created explicitly to protect and further the interests of a particular religious community, the Muslim community. So these Hindu people also wanted that in our India only Hindu states is there. आई एम सेइंग इज देयर, क्योंकि वहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं उस समय की. बट दे हैड सम आइडियल्स अबाउट द पाकिस्तान विच वॉज जस्ट पार्टेड फ्रॉम इंडिया, एंड दे ओनली एंड ओनली हैड इंटरेस्ट ऑन द मुस्लिम्स फेथ, ऑन द मुस्लिम कम्युनिटीज़. और वो अपने आप को कह भी चुके थे, घोषित भी कर चुके थे अपने आप को मुस्लिम राष्ट्र के रूप में. बट नॉट इंडियंस, not Indians had divided themselves to be a Muslim state. What happened? See, however, the Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was of the opinion that India could not and must not become a Hindu Pakistan. हमें हिंदू पाकिस्तान थोड़ा ही बनाना है. So our first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had this one of opinion, and he thought that India could not and must not become a Hindu Pakistan. Besides Muslims, India also had large population of Sikhs, Christians, as well as many Parsis and Jains also. So as per Jawaharlal Nehru's statement, we Indians had not only population of Hindus, we had population of Muslims as well as Parsians as well as Jainis and other ones also. So why only Hindu state? Why not the common India? So at third feature of the constitution was that it offered special privileges for the poorest and most disadvantaged Indians. अभी तक हम क्या पढ़ते आ रहे थे बच्चों? Lot of conflicts, lot of comparisons between the upper class and the lower class. But what happened in free India? See, the third main feature of our constitution had given privileges for the poorest and for the disadvantaged Indians. अभी तक जिनको बिल्कुल भी फ़ायदा नहीं मिला था, कुछ भी बेनिफिट नहीं मिला था, पुअर पीपल्स. सो द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ अनटचेबिलिटी डिस्क्राइब्ड एज अ स्लर एंड अ ब्लॉट. सी, and previously lower class untouchables we had studied, but in our constitution their practice of untouchability described as a slur and a blot on the fair name of India was abolished. इंडिया के नाम पे अगर आप अनटचेबिलिटी फैलाते हैं तो उसको स्लर और ब्लॉट घोषित कर दिया गया था. इट मीन्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के सामने all peoples, maybe they belonged from any caste, maybe from any class, all are same. Hindu temples, one more issue Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar raised, and 3 movements for entering in the temples started by Bhimrao Ambedkar. So in our constitution one more feature is there about Hindu temples. Previously open to only the higher caste were thrown upon to all, including the former untouchables. Before this one, it's okay. Bhimrao Ambedkar raised this issue with 3 temple movements, but our constitution declared open temples for every classes, maybe from the higher caste or maybe from the former untouchables. So all are allowed to enter in temples. After a long debate, the Constitution Assembly also recommended that a certain percentage of seats in legislatures as well as jobs in government be reserved for the members of the lowest classes or lowest caste. So our Constitution had given many opportunities. This time also these had given many opportunities also about the percentages of seats in legislative assemblies as well as in jobs, maybe from the any caste, maybe especially from the, if the person is from lowest class, no problem is there. Every person is same in front of our constitution. It had been argued by some that untouchables, or as they were known as Harijans, candidates did not have good enough grades to get into the prestigious Indian administrative services, because if any good work started, many opposers are there. यहाँ पे भी क्या हो रहा है बच्चों, यहाँ पे भी यही कंडीशन हो रही है. When these untouchables allowed for the reserved seats or allowed for the jobs, especially when we are talking about the Harijans, then these people thought that these Harijans had not good enough grades to be the prestigious administrative सर्विसेज. जब हम आईएएस की बात करते हैं, दूसरी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सर्विसेज की बात करते हैं, तब क्या इशूट किया है बच्चों कि अरे इन हरिजन्स को तो इतना ग्रेडिंग नहीं होगा कि उनको भी इन सर्विसेज में देने दिया जाए. बट ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं होता है बच्चों. ऑल पीपल हैव द सेम राइट for jobs as well as for the other things, equalities also. But as one member of the Constitution Assembly, H.J. Khandekar, argued, it was the upper caste who were responsible for the Harijans being unfit today. See, one of the member of the Constitution Assembly, H.J. Khandekar, had argued, had given a statement how these untouchables, how these Harijans became lower day by day only from the hands of the upper classes. So upper caste had no power, because all these things responsible for the Harijans being unfit today. Addressing to his more privileged colleagues, Khandekar said, और भी उन्होंने अपने colleagues को भाषण देते वक्त खंडेकर सर ने क्या कहा, We were suppressed for thousands of years. हमें हजारों सालों से दबाया जा रहा था. You engaged us in your service to serve your own ends and suppressed us to such an extent that neither our minds nor our bodies and nor even our hearts work, nor are we able to march forward. So all these things, all these situations created by the upper caste, along with the former untouchables, the Adivasis or scheduled tribes were also granted reservation in seats and jobs. It's okay. Harijans with the tribal peoples or Adivasis or scheduled tribe, ST peoples also got privilege of equal reservation of seats as well as in equal rights of jobs also. Like the scheduled caste, these Indians too had been deprived and discriminated against. क्योंकि ऐसा माना जा रहा था बच्चों कि as these untouchables or Harijans suppressed by the upper class, same with happened with the scheduled tribe peoples also. The tribals had been deprived of modern health care and education because they had also suffered from the health issues and education issues. The Constitution Assembly spent many days discussing the powers of the central government versus those of the state governments, because when you study in civics portion, in political science portion, then this thing happens. आपको पता चलेगा ऐसे कौन कौन से कार्य हैं जो केंद्र सरकार करेगी, ऐसे कौन कौन से कार्य हैं जो राज्य सरकार को करने होते हैं. So this issue also arose on that time, and with the discussion of powers, they divided central government powers and state government powers. A member from Mysore feared that under the present system, because many persons had their own curiosities, many their own questions. So one of the member of Mysore aroused one more fear that under the present system, democracy is centered only in Delhi, and it is not allowed to work in the same sense and spirit in the rest of the country. अरे सारी जो सत्ता है वो तो दिल्ली में ही इकट्ठी हो जाएगी, क्योंकि हम सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं. So the member of the Mysore feared and aroused this issue about the powers between central government and state government. A member from Madras stated that, एक और मेंबर है मद्रास के, उन्होंने क्या प्रॉब्लम अराइज किया बच्चों? द इनिशियल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज फॉर द वेल बीइंग ऑफ द पीपल ऑफ द प्रोविंसेस शुड रेस्ट विद द प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट्स, कि भाई जितना भी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ है वेल बीइंग पीपल के लिए क्या होना चाहिए वहाँ पे, जो प्रोविंशियल स्टेट्स है उनके खुद का एक प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट क्यों नहीं बना देते हो? बिकॉज डिफरेंट पीपल्स हैड डिफरेंट माइंड एंड दे हैव डिफरेंट कंसेप्ट एंड इट्स ओके. हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन सिर्फ एक कंसेप्ट से नहीं बनाया गया है. 300 peoples were there on that time from the different states, and they gathered at New Delhi and they discussed on one issue or the another issue. Another one, the constitution sought to balance these competing claims by providing 3 lists ऑफ सब्जेक्ट्स. अब क्या हुआ, ये जो अलग अलग इश्यूज रेज किए जा रहे थे बच्चों, इन इश्यूज को शांत करने के लिए आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन provides 3 lists of subjects. First list of union list with subjects such as taxes, defense and foreign affairs, which would be the exclusive responsibility of the center. So in the union list these subjects included, and as per these subjects the union government had power to regulate that one. And when we are talking about the state list of subjects, then such as education and health, which would be taken care of principally by the states, a concurrent list was also there under which would come subjects such as forest and agriculture, in which the center and the states would have joint responsibilities. So everything divided between central government, union, states and state list, and what in the concurrent list. So everything, every work, every subject was divided, and as per that subject central government is working at present, and same with the state government about the education issues, about the health issues. Central government and state government had both power, but when we are talking about the education and health issues, state government had power to regularize that one. And when we are talking about the concurrent list, both state and central government allowed on forest and agriculture subjects. See the picture of Bhimrao Ambedkar. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, 1891 to 1956 was his टाइम पीरियड, रेस्पेक्टफुली रिकॉर्डेड एज द बाबा साहेब. क्या कहलाए जाते थे भीमराव अंबेडकर? इनको बाबा साहेब के नाम से भी जाना जाता है. belong to a Marathi speaking Dalit family, a lawyer and economist. He is the best known and revered leader of the Dalits and the father of our constitution. Who is the father of our constitution? Yes, the answer is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is the father of our constitution. When we are talking about the different subjects, different powers holding between central government and state government and the concurrent list, when both state and central government had power to raise their points. Many members believe that the English language, in other meetings other subjects also raised, and in many members raised the issue of the English language. So English language should leave India with the British rulers. As British rulers were going on from India, so many members raised this issue that English language also go with the British rulers. We not need any English language in India. Its place, they argued, should be taken by Hindi. So they had this concept that it's okay, Hindi language is our main language, so all these English language concepts removed from there and Hindi taken by us. So however, those who did not speak Hindi were of a different opinion, because we already discussed about the different states had different languages. So southern states of India, they don't know how to speak Hindi. So this language of adopting Hindi also becomes a issue in amongst of the members of the Constitution Assembly. Speaking in the assembly, one of the member, T.T. Krishna Machari, conveyed a warning on behalf of the people of the South, some of whom threatened to separate from India if Hindi was imposed on them. So many issues arises on that time on the Hindi language, and T.T. Krishnamachari conveyed a warning from the southern people that if you only allowed Hindi for the speaking, then we separate from India. If you impose Hindi on all of us. So a compromise was finally arrived. पहले कह रहे थे इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज को बाहर भेज दो, ब्रिटिश रूलर्स जा रहे हैं, उन्हीं के संग इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज भी बाहर जानी चाहिए, एंड वी अडॉप्ट हिंदी इन प्लेस ऑफ इंग्लिश. बट सदर्न स्टेट्स एंड द मेंबर्स रिफ्यूज्ड दिस वन एंड दे रेज्ड अ इशू कि अगर आपने हमारे ऊपर हिंदी को थोपने की कोशिश की तो हम इंडिया से बाहर चले जाएंगे. सो a compromise was finally arrived at, namely that while Hindi would be the official language of India, so the compromise is this, that Hindi would be the official language of India, English would be used in the courts, the services and communications between one state to another state, because different states had different languages and English is the common language for them, not Hindi. So they adopted Hindi language as an official language and English as the courts language, as well as service language, as well as communication between one state to another state. The most important role was played by Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, as we had studied that who is the father of our constitution. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar is the father of our constitution. He who was the chairman of the drafting committee. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee and whose supervision the documents was finalized. So the main role in making of our constitution is of drafting committees. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, father of our constitution. We will continue this chapter in our next session. So stay with us, stay healthy, stay tuned.